Click. Hi, I'm Clark Hall. I'm with Central West Insurance, based out of Vernal, Utah. I'm a crop insurance agent, as well as other things. Today we're going to talk about pasture, rangeland, and forage, rainfall indexed insurance. That's a mouthful. Let's just call it rainfall insurance for today to make it easy. I'm going to have our standard disclaimer, let everybody know that we are an equal opportunity employer and provider. Basically, what happens with rainfall insurance is when there is no precipitation, we're there with a check to help you out. You select the months you want you need precipitation on your property or your range ground. We can come in with a check if there's no rain, if there's no precipitation there. Now, the weather's fickle. Quite often there's enough moisture, but a lot of times there's not. When there's little moisture, the grass doesn't grow. When the grass doesn't grow, neither does your stock. You have less money at market time. And to add insult to injury, you have to haul water and purchase feed to go with that. Then there's that gut-wrenching feeling when you survey your range ground and there's not enough water or grass for your stock. You do all you can to keep things together, but you can feel things slipping. And it happens year after year with this drought that we're going through. It's just plain wrong for you to be doing all those long, hard hours, taking care of your stock, and then not see any profit from your labors. Nobody should have to go through that. The USDA is concerned about producers not going broke in one year, but having many years of low moisture, like cattle, because your cattle are light, you're getting less money, and your finances just don't work out. So they come up with this rainfall insurance program. They want a program that's easy to administer, easy to understand, and provide benefits to ranchers when they need it the most. The goal is to keep family farms and ranches strong in the long haul. If we lose 30 to 40% of our farms over the next 4 or 5 years because of low precipitation, it's devastating to our economy. What they do is they use rainfall as a proxy for forage. They don't come out and look at the forage. They don't come out and look at anything. They just use rainfall based on the NOAA websites. It uses large grids, about 150,000 acres in our area. And whatever the NOAA site says the grid is, I mean, you might be real wet, but if the grid says it's less precipitation, you may get an indemnity payment. You might be real dry on yours, but if the whole grid is wet, you will not get an indemnity payment. Do not look at this as a revenue source. It's an insurance program. Now, the idea is to transfer the risk of low precipitation from you, the producer, to the insurance company. The whole thing is backed by the USDA. The insurance company just does the paperwork on it. I've got a producer in my area. So far this year, I've given him 2 indemnity payments that are way over $10,000 each. As I was delivering the last one, I said, you know, I would happily give these checks back, pay the premium payment right now if we could just have rain. I will make more money if I have grass than these indemnity payments. But the indemnity payments help out. And we don't have the rain, we can't change the rain. I feel like you need to develop a plan in order to purchase this insurance, not just willy-nilly go buy it, not have some computer program come up with your plan for you. You know your ground, your range better than anybody else. You need to develop that plan, and then use these software programs to validate, does that make sense? And so we've got a little 8-step plan here to help you develop your plan. The first thing you need to do is contact Farm Service Agency, get a copy of your 578 producer report with the maps. They will know what it is. And if you haven't set up a 578 yet, you need to get with them and do that. Next, look at each parcel of land and decide when you need rain on that to best suit your operation. After you've decided the rain interval, when you need the rain, then look at the coverage level. You can choose from 90% precipitation down to 70% precipitation. What makes sense on your ground for what you're doing. The next thing is the productivity factor. How is this parcel relative to the ground around it? Say a 5-mile radius. If it's much more productive, you can ramp it up as much as 150%. If it's not as productive, you can ramp it down to 70%. Realistically, the range ground is pretty much the same. 100% makes normal. Yours is about the same as the ground around it. The next step that you want to go through is determine how many acres you want to insure. You do not have to insure every acre you own or lease or operate livestock on. You can insure whatever you want there. Then use the resources available to determine what the premium is going to be. And there's several programs out there to kind of give you an idea of what the precipitation has been on your particular parcel of ground. And you need to go through each parcel and develop that. As a crop agent, that's what I do. I help you put that plan together, but then we validate it, make sure, help you understand what the premium is going to be. Once we've got all that done, then we need to make sure that our plan passes the curb test. What is the curb test, you say? I'm glad you asked. I was taught the curb test many years ago by a good friend of mine, Lynn Snow. Had nothing to do with insurance. We was working on some appraisal of property. He said, you go through all these calculations, gyrations, plans, and then after you're all done, you sit down out there on the curb and say, does this make sense for what we're doing? You operate your range ground. You know your operation inside and out. What this plan, does it make sense for your operation? I'll give you an excellent example of a producer that I'm working with in the Moab area. His winter range is on about 50,000 acres. And this insurance in that area costs about 50 cents an acre. So that would mean a premium payment of about $25,000. Over the last 15 years, the indemnity above the premium payment combined for all those years would have paid out over $300,000. That's a lot of money. Sounds really good, but this plan does not pass the curb test because he only runs 20 or 50 head of cows. Well, if it happens to be a little wet and it does not pay an indemnity payment, all of a sudden those 50 head of cows, they will not support a $25,000 a year insurance payment. It doesn't pass the curb test. We've got to ramp the number of acres down and make some other changes to where it will pass the curb test. Another example, I've got a local producer here. He claims this year, 2018, his calves are fatter than he can remember. Well, if that's the case, I said, man, don't buy the product. If it happens to be wet, you've still got a premium payment to pay. If it happens to be dry, yes, you'll still get the indemnity payment. But if your calves are not fluctuating up and down because of the moisture, it does not make sense to buy the insurance product. You're looking at it then as a revenue source, not an insurance product. And then after it passes the curb test, put your plan in place. No, don't wait till November to try and put this in place. Do it now. Get it out of the way and forget about it. You're too busy later on in the year. The plan has to be totally set up with insurance companies prior to November 15th. When it dawns bright and pretty November 16th, it's too late for next year. The great thing about it, or one of the great things about it, is the premium payment is not due until September 2019 in this case, so you don't have to put any money out up front. It's all in arrears. If there's an indemnity payment, the insurance payment is already paid out of. There's no claims forms to file or anything like that. If the precipitation is less than your indemnity level, then it automatically pays. About 75 days after the end of the 2-month interval, the payment is triggered. Unless the payment is going to be over $200,000, then there will be an audit. It might take an extra week on top of that. But it's all relative to when the RMA posts the precipitation index on the particular interval. What's the next step for you right now? Contact Farm Service Administration. Have them email you your 578 and your AD 1026. They will know what it is. If you like, copy me, have them copy me in on the email. Give me a call. Let's sit down and put a program together, a plan together for you. Make sure it passes the curb test, and you'll be set to go for the 2019 crop year. Here's my information. I'm based out of Arnold. Love to talk with you about your pasture, rangeland, and forage. Rainfall Index Insurance. Give me a call, send me an email, send me a text, whatever would work good for you. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you now.